Hey, what's up, everybody? Andrew from Fantasy Aid here to give you my top 50 starting pitchers ranking for the 2017 season. In this video, we'll be going over Tier 1, which is basically just any starters I feel comfortable with as my number one starter. And now, I'm sure this won't shock any of you, but number one is Clayton Kershaw. Obviously, Kershaw had another incredible season last year, despite the injuries. He had the third year in a row with a FIP under 2, only walked .7 batters per 9 with the 169 ERA. He is clearly the number one starter in baseball, so not much to mention there. Number two is Max Scherzer, who's now had 2 years with a whip under 1, had over 10 Ks per 9 innings since 2012. He gets a lot of wins on that Nats team. So he wins out the number 2 spot there, obviously. Number 3 is Madison Bumgarner, who I'm surprised. It only was his age 27 season last year. It seems like he's been around the league a lot longer than he really has. He seems like he should be in his 30s now, but he's just entering the prime. And if you look at the numbers over the past couple of years, in 2013 he had a K per 9 of 8.9. In 2014 it was 9.1. 2015 9.6. And last year, he reached 10 Ks per 9 innings. So those numbers keep going up. He's improving his stuff as he ages. So I'm pretty excited about him for the 2017 season. Number 4, Chris Sale got traded to the Red Sox in the offseason, what was probably the biggest deal we had. I'm not too worried about him in the move in Boston. I think his home run rate will go up slightly, and probably along with his ERA. One thing to note, his K per 9 in 2015 was 11.8, where it fell to 9.3 last year. But I think that's just a fluke. I think he'll get it above 10 with the Red Sox this season. He's still an ace. You just might see him give up a few more home runs in that stadium. Number 5, Corey Kluber, who had an okay first half where he had a 3.61 ERA and 9K per 9. But in the second half, he really took off with a 2.52 ERA and striking out 10.1 batters per 9. Great improvements there. As the Indians staff was falling apart around him, he was able to step up and loved what he did. He's definitely closer to the second half pitcher than in the first half. So excited for him there. Noah Syndergaard kind of embodies what we think of the Mets rotation. Tons of talent and tons of injury risk. Last year he had a 2.29 FIP, so really, really good. And both years he's played in the majors, he's had over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He didn't get that bone chip removed. Definitely something to monitor, but there's no questioning his stuff or his ranking. Number 7 is Jon Lester, and he's basically just Mr. Consistent when it comes to putting him in your lineup. You know he's going to go deep. You know he'll get just below 9 strikeouts per 9. And, he won 19 games last year. He's playing for the Cubs, so he's not going to give super flashy stuff, but he'll give you a low ERA, decent Ks, and a lot of wins. Number 8, Jake Arrieta, Lester's teammate. First half, he was himself. He had a 2.68 ERA. We saw that ERA jump to 3.69 in the second half, and his strikeouts fell dramatically as he went from a little bit over 9 Ks per 9 to 69 Ks in 83 innings. But if you look deeper in the numbers, his soft contact actually fell by about 1% in the second half. So I think he got a little unlucky there. He's much closer to the first half pitcher he was in the second half. We won't see 2015 Arrieta, but a 2.52 ERA is not out of the question. Number 9, David Price, who had a 3.99 ERA with his first year in Boston. 17 wins. They're going to get a lot of wins on that team. But as I mentioned with Sale, it's kind of the same thing with David Price. His home run rate per 9 in 2015 was 0.5, and in 2016 it rose to 1.2. So he's giving up a little bit more home runs there. I think that's partly to blame for it. He also had a 4% jump in soft contact in the second half, so he's much better there. Although the interesting was he had a higher ERA in the first half, but he was striking out 10 batters per 9 innings. In the second half, he only struck out 7.5 per 9. But obviously, the soft contact definitely went down. I think, he's a decent guy. And just like Sale, he's going to be a little bit more prone to home run balls because of Fenway, but nothing to worry about there. Number 10 is Johnny Cueto, who had a comeback season last year after a pretty rough 2015. It's his first full year with the Giants. He had 2.75 ERA, 2.95 FIP. He's just another one of those guys that I would love to have. I think he'll do well again this year in San Francisco. And of course, one of the biggest comeback players last year was Justin Verlander. His first half was kind of rough. He had a 4.07 ERA, but in the second half, he was able to get that down to 1.97 for the second half. Part of his comeback last year, I think, responsible is if you look back at 2015, he only pitched 133.1 innings, and he's got a lot of innings on that arm, and I think that extra rest in 2015 really helped him in 2016. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep up the comeback here and get closer to his 2016 stats. Number 12, Yu Darvish. He only pitched 100.1 innings last year, but he was Yu Darvish in those innings. He had 11.8 Ks per 9, and he had a 3.41 ERA. And if he pitches a full season, he'll probably lead the majors in strikeouts. So obviously a lot of upside there. And then Carlos Carrasco rounds out the list. Obviously much better in the first half where he had a 2.47 ERA. In the second half, it went up to 4.17. I think a little bit was fatigue and, just having to, unlike Kluber, he didn't really step up. Plus, he had some time on the DL. One encouraging thing for his second half, though, was he was able to increase his K rate. So very encouraging signs there. So those are my Tier 1 pitchers. If you want to message me or email me any questions, you can hit me up at FantasyAbe1 on Twitter or FantasyAbe1 at gmail.com. For Fantasy 8, I'm Andrew, and thanks for watching.